Hi, guys. Aaron Dorr here for Georgia Gun Owners. Right now, our primary focus, yours and all of us here at GGO, is to finish the fight for constitutional carry. Much more on that from us in the next day or two. But right now, I want to deviate for a moment and make sure you guys knew that on Monday in D.C., the Senate Committee of Judiciary is going to convene a 4-day confirmation hearing on Ketanji Jackson's nomination to the United States Supreme Court. And it is critical that gun owners here in Georgia take a moment and email Senators Ossoff and Warnock and tell them to oppose this nomination. If you're pressed for time today, if that's all the time you have, whatever else you do, fire off that email immediately. It's right beneath this video, whether you're watching on YouTube, in an email blast, or on our Facebook page. Now, I know a lot of you are asking, why should I bother? Ossoff, Warnock, they're as left-wing as they come. Why is it worth my time? Well, I'm going to answer that question later on in this video, but trust me, it's worth your time. Send the email no matter what else you do today. Now, back to Ketanji Jackson. I got a photograph of her somewhere. Here we go. This is Ketanji Jackson. This is Joe Biden's nominee for the Supreme Court. Now, if you listen to China Joe Biden, you'd have the impression that Ketanji Jackson is a very mild-mannered, very centrist, very moderate-style jurist who would be a very common-sense addition to the Supreme Court. But, of course, it's China Joe. You can't trust a word that guy says, even about what time it is or what day it is. Everything the guy says is an absolute lie. And when it comes to Ketanji Jackson, that is true on steroids. The reality is that there may be no more extreme nomination that we have ever seen for the Supreme Court in modern history than Ketanji Jackson. Before she was even a judge, Ketanji, before she became a federal judge, worked on then nominee Barack Obama's campaign for the presidency. That should tell you all you have to know about where Ketanji and her political orientation is. Worked on Obama's election campaign back in 2008. In the years that followed, she was a repeated guest lecturer for the American Constitution Society in Washington, D.C. Now, that might sound innocuous, but make no mistake, this is the most left-wing think tank in all of D.C. right now. And she was their go-to girl because Ketanji Jackson's ideology matches their leftist ideology to a T. Now, currently, Ketanji is a federal judge in Washington, D.C. And in her previous confirmation hearings for her current federal judgeship, Ketanji Jackson has consistently refused to acknowledge that you and I, as gun owners, as Americans, that we have an individual right to keep and bear arms. For Ketanji and the rest of the left, they believe the Second Amendment only is there to guarantee the government and the government's right to own and possess firearms and weaponry. Ketanji refuses to acknowledge that you and I have a God-given, constitutionally codified, and Supreme Court acknowledged individual right to keep and bear arms. And because of that, she would rule as a Supreme Court justice against your gun rights every single time. Because again, after all, you don't have an individual right to keep and bear arms. And that's why she already has the endorsement of Everytown for Gun Safety. Let's see, who else? Everytown for Gun Safety, Moms Demand Action, the Giffords Law Center, the Brady Campaign. Every gun control organization in America has already come out and endorsed her because they know Ketanji Jackson is a radical judicial activist who wants to spend the rest of her life attacking our God-given right to keep and bear arms. It's just that simple. Now, you may be asking again, how does that actually sway Jon Ossoff or Raphael Warnock? Why do they care? Well, here's why they care. And here's why you should fire off your emails right away. Because, first of all, Jon Ossoff is on the Judiciary Committee. He has a lot to say about this nomination. And the committee is an 11-11 tie right now. Very interesting committee assignment on this in Washington, D.C. The reason why Chuck Schumer and the rest of Senate Democrats are worried about this right now is because of Joe Biden. Joe Biden has made a dumpster fire out of their party in the last, 15, 16 months. He's been in the White House. Inflation is through the moon. Violent crime is exploding. You can't find half the things you want to buy in the store shelves anymore. Everything is a mess. The guy destroys everything he touches. And the poll numbers that we are seeing right now on Joe Biden are perhaps the lowest we've seen of any president in modern history this new into his first term in the White House. And the problem that causes for Democrats is all the down ballot consequences. We are seeing poll numbers across America right now that make a very strong case that if this continues, the Democrats are going to lose control of both chambers of Congress in Washington, D.C. Folks, these numbers are so bad that in New York State, of all places, current Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is upside down against a Republican nominee, which is unheard of in that state in a very, very long time. This is the problem that Schumer is trying to interact with. How do we advance a radical activist on the Supreme Court and not just pour gas on the dumpster fire that Joe Biden has already lit? Because if you're Chuck Schumer, you're John Ossoff, you're Raphael Warnock, all you care about right now is keeping control of the Senate. You want to maintain your grip on power. And that's why when they pushed for David Chipman to run the ATF, that was such a very hard thing for them because they knew they wanted to make Joe Biden happy. But they knew pushing nominations like this is very harmful for their own reelection chances and for their own conference. That is why John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock care about what you think right now, because they are terrified that if they support this nominee, it's going to come back to bite them personally in the case of Raphael Warnock and collectively for all the rest of Senate Democrats across the country. So fire off your emails right away and make your voice heard. There's a lot of cases coming up before the Supreme Court when it comes to gun rights in the near future. There's a landmark case from New York State that challenges that state's very arbitrary, very tyrannical May issue concealed carry process. But we're probably going to see other cases in the not too distant future when it comes to Joe Biden's executive actions pushing gun control. You know, Joe Biden has already done 2 of these so far. The first one makes it a crime to own an AR-15 pistol brace. The second one makes it a crime to have an 80% lower receiver. These 2 laws, they're not laws, these 2 executive orders never went through Congress. There was never a hearing on them. There was never a vote on them in the Congress. He simply gets out his pen, writes an executive order, gives that to the ATF, and now we are looking at having bureaucratic mandated gun control that would make felons out of millions of gun owners across America when these regulations are just that. They're regulations. They're not laws, and there was never a vote on them in the Congress. The Supreme Court is going to be asked to weigh in on all of these issues in the coming months, coming years, perhaps. And so it is critical that we stand up right now and pour pressure on Senate Democrats, especially our own senators, Ossoff and Warnock, and confirm their worst fears and tell them, we don't give a damn why you vote no on her. Just understand, if you support her, if you advance her nomination, you are just begging. You are begging to lose control of the United States Senate in November. It's one more way you put a nail in your own coffin. They paid a hell of a price with David Chipman. They know that. Just days ago, Joe Biden's nominee to run the Federal Reserve had to withdraw her nomination as well because she's so radical she could not be confirmed. And guys, this is our chance to do it again right now with Ketanji Jackson. So fire off your emails. We're making real strides on this fight right now in Washington, D.C., but take action. Fire off your emails. Share our videos so other people who care about gun rights can fire off their emails. And then, guys, go to joinggo.com, joinggo.com, and get involved as a member in Georgia Gun Owners Today. Again, much more coming very soon on constitutional carry. Pay attention to your email inbox. Watch social media feeds. We'll keep you guys informed. Take care.